Are we live? Can't even tell. Things like kind of slow down on me. Okay, we are live.
Yep.
We are live.
Welcome.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to Blazin Tech. My name is Renee, and we have our special guest. He's always going to be in the show. His name is
Joe. Yep.
So today we have very interesting topics on what we're discussing today, because we're going to be discussing about the Apple's MacBook Pro that has serious issues. We also have the Apple launches its in-store trade-in program for Macs. That is very interesting topic. And then we have also the AMD delaying the Ryzen 4000 series. That is it sounds like I want to know more about this, if it act more into this. And Chrome might not eat all your RAM after this new feature. And we have a special thing most people always ask for, is the Google Assistant shortcut for creating "I'm getting pulled over." Because most people always as soon as they get stopped by a cop, they're like, go on their phone, they click on these buttons and do all that stuff. Well, now none of that. You have to do none of that anymore. Now you just say a word, your phone does it for you. But question, is it trustworthy?
And is it stable? Will it still record the whole time?
Or would it see the officer and stop recording?
You don't know what backdoor things I have.
Yeah, behind the scenes, we don't know. Or the AI, what the AI is gonna recognize.
Yeah, I'll have to download this app after the show. I just haven't experiment with it.
I'm really curious on how that's gonna go.
So
the first topic we are discussing is the MacBook Pro series. What do you think about the issues? Did you read the article?
Yeah. It's always the problem with introducing new technology. It's how much do you support the previous technology? You don't want to lose too many people, because then people are, they have, I don't know if they have their interface, or they have other expensive devices that use slower compatibility, then the thing is, though, you can still do a hub, but if you're not really making sure the software is secure and can work seamlessly with that hub, then it's just a bad experience. And then people, they're like, okay, well, Apple's not, can they be as stable, like which one's more stable, Mac OS or Microsoft, or other platforms.
Yeah, but and also too, Apple is always pushing their clients and their buyers to the latest technology, and they don't give time for, like, as soon as the USB-C came out, they were implementing it onto the like my MacBook Pro. They updated it into it. So, and I'm kind of like just jumped in, and I was like, hey, what how am I going to plug in my USB adapter? I can't plug in my USB adapter now. Well, they're like, well, you're going to have to make these extra purchases to actually make it work. You're going to be like, yeah, here's the new device. How much is it? $40 just to make it work. It's all about, yeah. I think it's all about it's about marketing.
Yeah. And it's just how smooth the experience is.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, people who are in the professional realm, they'll keep pushing and pushing, and they'll call people up, and they'll be proactive to get their devices working because they paid for them. But some people will just be like, this experience is not for me. I'm going to return it. I'm going to go get a PC, or whatever they're going to decide to do. Maybe they trade in the PC and they're like, PC is not for me, and they go to Mac.
Yep. I've heard stories about that people just return their Macs because they can't stand it, and they can't just deal with it.
Yeah, I think, and I'm going into the gaming with like the Steam hardware sales. I mean, the survey for like their hardware, they tell you like, okay, so many people are at 1080p monitors and they're pushing a GTX 1060, or they're most of them are on uh, Microsoft Windows 10 or whatever. Apple needs to do a good enough job with their surveying of their consumers to know when is it to really push that envelope. And people will, there's some people who hold on to that last technology that's a lot slower, but then when you get to that certain point, it just push forward and just force people to upgrade. When you get, I don't know exactly what that percentage is, like 10-20 percentage,
Yeah.
but there's a point where you leave them behind. So
Yeah. So true. And we do have to kind of like Apple's doing a good job on it, but they're kind of like forcing us. But there's not enough time to upgrade everything. So
yeah, it's like you wouldn't expect your Mac of today to be compatible with the Mac of the 80s, So
yeah,
it's like there's a certain point where it can't be supported anymore.
like me, I had to change all my hardware. Which is like when I got my MacBook Pro, I had to change all of it to USB-C, and it cost me more money to change that into the USB-C than to stay back at USB. But in the long run, that with the USB-C, I get more ports, and I could plug in any my adapters to any port I want and hook up an extra monitor instead of just strictly to one port. And I don't even have to worry about drivers. I don't have to worry about nothing. Just plug and play. And that's the good part about having that. Also with these dongles, they give you, even though you get like a dongle, you actually have like extra features. Like you'll get like a video card, the video output, and you'll get like a USB, and you'll get another USB-C port. So even if you use one, you'll still have extra for extra slots for other things.
So you upgraded because there was a way to make your device go faster.
Well,
reconnect.
When I for the this is my first Mac I bought, and then when I bought it, it had just USB-Cs, and I was like, what the hell? And then so I bought the dongle, and that guy told me, look, this dongles actually have features for like video, USB, or HDMI, and another USB-C. I wish I had one right next to me, and I don't have cable right next to me, so I can't really show you what the dongle look like. And it's like about $30 a piece, and you could buy USB ones as well. But everything's like $30-$40 for them. Like the price is like so outrageous on that.
Yeah.
And the good thing is about it too, like I could charge, if I only had one, I could actually charge my device while I actually hook it up to an external monitor at the same time.
How expensive was the hardware that you had to get this adapter for?
What do you mean?
Like it was obviously it was the more affordable thing to just get this adapter than get new devices for all the different types you're doing.
Yeah, it was cost efficient just to get paid the $40 to get this instead of buying all new hardware. But now, as over time during the last 2 years since I bought it, I've actually started transitioning to USB-C devices.
And yeah, so they're affordable.
Yeah, for what I do and how the speed and everything I use for it, and it's a pretty good outcome. I would recommend getting C better than use USB, just a regular USB 3.0 or stuff like. I would totally recommend USB-C.
Yeah, it's the same trend. I was talking to my brother. I was trying to convince him. I had bought this the 6 terabyte hard drive, but instead I'm deciding to give it to him as a gift.
Mm-hmm.
He might reimburse me some of the cost or whatever, but it's mostly a gift. But the idea is that with this new computer that I bought recently, I'm finally on it right now.
Mm-hmm.
That I personally, from what I want to do, is I want to leave hard drives in the past. Like the 720 RPM hard drives. I want to leave that in the past because that's holding back like the new computers. It really it really makes the experience a lot less. You're buying
Yeah.
a new computer. You should, in my opinion, go for like a terabyte or 2 terabytes of either something that goes into the PCIe 16 slot or an M.2 slot, because you're just, I think you're kind of like putting dirt in the water of your PC experience. Some people, for my brother, he's not going to notice because he's running on a FX 6300 right now. And I was on an FX 8350, and I really wanted to upgrade because I could tell that the experience I was having wasn't good for me, But for him, he doesn't even want to upgrade his CPU or his GPU, and he thinks the hard drive isn't slow. So for him, hard drives are awesome, and there's a market for people like him. But for me, I could tell, and so now I'm doing the NVMe, you know,
Yeah.
and if you can tell, right, with the USB-C, because that's super fast. Um, when you use it on a regular basis and you're trying to get enough data because you have a time commitment, then yeah, you don't have time to like let something go over a day or half, less than, what I mean, it depends. Some of these games and different apps, the games are becoming like 80 gigabytes or something crazy. So I rather have the game be able to play within like 5 to 10 minutes, but with my hard drive, it was taking forever.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm all for USB-C. I have one on my PC. I don't have something that can go into that port yet. I've never had a device that wasn't USB, but I'm looking forward to looking for some devices that are compatible with like that and Thunderbolt and stuff.
Yeah,
But
that's
but yeah, like you said, you have a Pro. This article is talking about the Pro 13 only having 2 ports, so you have to get the hub
yeah.
because one's for the wall and then one's for your hub. But your Mac has your Pro 15, right?
If I'm correct, it's a Pro 15.
And you said you have like 4 ports.
Correct.
So you didn't necessarily have to get a hub, but there were some devices that you thought, from older devices, that you had to get the hub for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought I had to pretty much get that hub just for the old devices to work. But the ports the number of ports was okay because I really don't use more than like 2-3 of them
Okay.
at one time. But it has been occasion that I've actually had to max out my Mac and to use all 4 at the same time.
Yeah.
Whenever I have to stream or whenever I have to do something else, and I have to have an extra external monitor, I actually have to have that that second screen.
Yeah. And this article was talking about how the OS needs a patch, and there's going to be a patch that will help solve the compatibility issue for the hub.
Yeah.
So it should be a smoother experience, hopefully.
I hope so. I really do hope so because I've had issues with it using older devices. Performance, I've had some other issues too as well. Can't open up files or it just stops working.
Yeah. And I think if you have different price points for technology, it's like when you buy into that price point, you expect it to work,
Yep.
because then you could have bought something much cheaper and been more of a troubleshooting type of situation because you knew you were being cheap to begin with. But when you're buying a certain level, you're like, I expect support, so please help me remove my headaches.
Yeah. So true. So true on that.
And you can't just I'm not saying they do this because obviously they have a lot of they have a lot of consumers that are not corporations or companies that use their products, but the more your product works efficiently with older stuff and fast,
Mhm.
then you're just gonna like convert people to Mac or PC.
Yep.
So it only can help.
So that pretty much wraps up that topic. So now we're gonna actually go to the Apple launches its in-store trade in programs for Macs. What do you think about that? That they're gonna be able to allow you to trade in your old iMacs, your Macs.
I think it's useful for places like for consumers where they don't know, they want to be, they're eco-conscious, conscientious. They want to recycle their parts. They want to feel like it's not going into a dumpster somewhere in a landfill. I personally have a recycling facility in my community, but I don't like going to it all the time. So I do like that Apple does this so that you can go, as you've said in the past, where you bought a new Mac and you could bring your old Mac now because they have trade-in programs for the phones. So now you can bring your old Mac and you can either get something for it or at least know that those pieces probably will be recycled and go, so to help the environment.
Yeah, definitely true. And I've always hated people throwing away Mac computers because the value on the Macs, they stay value, the value stays on them and they never really depreciate. So it is a good idea that these companies are actually taking in and actually going to recycle them to a certain way.
Yeah. So there's the environment aspect. There's the part where so people don't like not, not no it makes you feel better about knowing that it has some use for it. But also I think there's a little bit of it. So if you upgrade frequently, you might get something back a bit more than you, let's say it's mostly for the people who don't want to do the hassle of selling it on eBay or other marketplaces. So Apple makes it a little bit easier for you. And also you can see that it would help Apple because depending on how much Apple actually reimburses you for
Hmm.
buying it, it might be like a net positive for them. So, because people have been a little bit cynical that maybe it's kind of like GameStop, where GameStop, would say like you give them really good stuff and then they pay you a little bit and they go and sell it for like way more, not just like a good amount of profit, but a lot more profit. So it remains to be seen as to what people get back for that program. Have you ever traded your iPhone in?
I never had an iPhone. I always, for my Google phones, I've always traded them in every 6 months.
Okay.
I would trade
Yeah,
mine in every 6 months.
I've only owned Android. So yeah, I should ask my friend. My friend, he's only ever bought Apple phones, so I should ask him how much he gets back for his phones.
Yeah, you should ask him because to me that's very interesting and what they get back. Me, I just get whenever I trade in my phones, I actually get back. I don't get back money. I get like just I don't have to pay really like extra. Like I don't have to pay for my next phone. I just get an
Uh-huh.
upgrade and I just trade my old phone in and I get a new one and the company pays off the phone.
Okay, yeah, that's the with the phone plan.
Yeah, I never traded in a computer before, but
Yeah,
it's almost like going to the pawn shop.
yeah, and my my phone, I've always tried to get on the cheapest phones, like the cheapest Android phones I could find. Walmart used to have really cheap ones, like you could buy like a 40 or an $80 one, and then they just T-Mobile, that's what it was through. Then they just didn't support those lower ones, and then I was sad when I had to go buy like $160 phone. I thought that was pretty a steep price. My friend has bought like phones that are crazy expensive, like 700 or 800 or something. That's not me. I'm not that market. I'm the market just the $150 phone. Well, even the $40 phone, as long as it was a smartphone, I was cool. It didn't have to like run at the fastest speeds, just being a smartphone so I can access YouTube or something. That's the kind of consumer I am.
No,
Sometimes it's just the cheapest.
me, I've had cheap phones and I never liked them because I can't get the performance. I can't get the apps that I need and the memory. There's so much stuff that goes behind cheap phones. I can't stand, and I always have to get like a Samsung Galaxy or a Note to get that performance.
Yeah, it's very interesting people's tolerance levels for different apps. and different appliances. Some people are like, I have to have the, like, for me, I had to get, for my opinion, I had to get the best bed that I could afford. Like, I bought the Purple 4, which is insanely expensive. It's like $2,600 for the bed. It's like a twin XL. I financed it, so I pay zero interest over 6 years. I have equal payments right now of like $40 to $50, depending. Like, I added some other accessories in, like pillows and other and sheets and stuff like that. But for me, I couldn't make the compromise. I could not go for a lower bed. I wanted Purple because it served my function. It spread out the weight distribution.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a side sleeper, so I need a really comfortable bed because I never sleep on my back. So for you, it's the phone. For me, it's the bed. It's like some people have their their tolerance levels. I can't make a sacrifice there. And that bed, I feel like, will last me like 10 plus years.
Yeah, mine's not only the phone. I have a lot of things I'm like that.
No, I know everybody's got everything, but yeah, it's like, yeah.
Mine's the computer. Mine's the computers, man. Mine's computers as well. It's like I can't just go to Walmart and expect something that's it's gonna work fine for me. I could never do that. I was paying almost $1,300 every computer I bought, and I still have those two computers. I have the $1,300 I paid for. I still have them. They're under the bed. Just I don't know what
are they Macs or are they PC?
No, hell no, they're not Macs. They're PCs. First one I got was back in 2010. No, yeah, 2010. When I went to college, and then the second one I bought it in 2014.
And they're just
sitting there.
Used. They're just collecting.
They're just collecting dust there, man.
Yeah, see, that's the eco-friendly part that I'm, the precious metals that are in these laptops and in these desktops and monitors. Some of it's because of like poison, like a monitor, right? You wouldn't want that broken in the environment. But some of it's like when we mine so much of the silver and the gold and all these different components that we put into our computers, when we mine it across the earth, those things like they take a long time for those products to develop in the environment. I'm not sure, like, diamonds with like special conditions. I'm not sure. I haven't looked into the conditions about like how gold and silver and stuff form. If that formed back with the creation of the earth or back with did it does it happen over time? Does over time do those is there more gold being produced? So for me, it's like, oh gosh, I can't stand the thought of all these precious metals in the computer just going to a landfill with tons of other trash and then never being pulled up again because there's so much. It would be so hard to go through all that trash that it would probably be like dangerous to human beings to like go through landfills. I'm not sure if you can, like, if even you couldn't do it because there'd be so many sharp objects in the landfills that it would cut like a suit if you thought there was anything dangerous to human beings.
It's true. I didn't think about that. Going to a dump through the dump and actually looking for something and how much sharp stuff there is in there.
Well, I've looked at, because some of these facilities, they're like miles long and they're just using tons of bulldozers and they're burying it like I don't know how many feet deep, like 50 or something, like just huge operations, and you're like, that stuff will probably never be touched.
I remember one time that I think it was work. I couldn't tell exact story, but I knew that something happened. We had the old monitors, the tube monitors, the big TRTs.
Yeah.
And I think they closed up that building because then the construction workers stopped because I think they broke one or something happened. They had to stop the construction. They had to call I think I forgot what those people called, the health hazard people.
Hazmat.
They had to come in and investigate to see if there's any poisonous gases around before they continue working. It was kind of crazy, like, because we didn't know that there was some monitors in there. So then they found them when they were doing construction, when they were tearing down a building, and they had to completely stop all that. So I wonder how much stuff like that, dangerous hazard stuff, is in the landfill. Like you're saying, like older Macs that have like big tubes stuff back in the day. I wonder if you could actually return those too, if that's actually part of the trade in.
You mean like very old stuff?
Yeah.
That would be interesting. Like, yeah. Gosh.
Because they're taking in, it doesn't state in the article like if they're taking in a certain
The
date.
last generation
Yeah.
or two?
There's no state on that in the article saying that. So I'm kind of like wondering.
Yeah, because it's like if you haven't already decided to hold on to it to like sell it on eBay or like I don't know, collector's item, or it's some of those things, they might have some interesting reusable parts, and then some of them are maybe more dangerous. I don't know.
That's very interesting. Very interesting topics.
It's just a generation beyond me. go do some reading about the 70s and the 80s.
Yep. Got to do more research on that one. And also, go moving on to the next topic. AMD allegedly delaying Ryzen 4000 series Zen 3 CPUs to 2021. What do you think about that? I want to hear from your opinion.
Okay, so I it's the summer. The heat gets to me, and I'm just a avid. We're tech junkies, So we like to see that like things are when somebody says that something's probably coming this year. We like it to happen. So when it was a rumor that we thought it was coming from a pretty strong source. I mean, I think I can't remember where it was originally coming from, but yeah, I jumped on it. I kind of I didn't make a video about it, but I tweeted about it with this other YouTuber. His name is not an Apple fan. He was reporting on it, and if we don't, even if it was false, which it looks like it is going to be false, the AMD's comment on it, and hopefully it goes through that way. It helps that the community is paying attention. It wakes the community up so that they know to hold companies if they can. Deadlines get pushed. They have to get pushed if they have to because of all the different logistics. Something's wrong, or you can't get all the supply because this year is an extraordinary year for all the delays in a lot of different things. But things are ramping up again. Shipments are still going. New buildings are being produced and everything. But it did get me. It did make me a little bit like, I want to make sure that AMD knows that I really want them to release Zen 3 CPUs this year because I'm passionate. I think that they need to, if they want to keep, I mean, they're competing in the multi streaming services, like with tons of threads and tons of cores. So they're but the single thread performance versus multi, I don't, they're still not there where they can say they are the go-to for the budget or the middle or even the high end for gaming. And I think they should not delay consecutive releases until they are king.
Makes
Like
sense.
Intel's been king of gaming for, oh man, probably 9 or 10 years. AMD shouldn't be satisfied until they are definitely winning in that section. Just because they're getting a lot of different server deals and they're in the consoles and they're they're making huge leaps. They're dominating in the core count and the thread and the multi-threading applications. They need to win. I think personally, they need to win in gaming because a lot of the enthusiasts and a lot of the people they go based off what they basically, okay, here's the reason why they need to win in gaming. Consumers start off as children and they play games. So as they they buy their first CPU, if it's an Intel or an AMD, based on which one can perform better. There is some subconscious brand loyalty that just happens. You associate Intel with fast gaming, AMD with slow gaming. AMD still hasn't caught up in terms of gaming. Like they've closed the gap pretty close, but they're not king yet. If they're king, then people are like, as a child or a teenager, they're like, my first CPU was an AMD one, a Ryzen, because it was the best in gaming. And then they're, you know what I mean? It's just, there's just a tidal wave effect.
Yeah.
People start recommending. They're like, "Oh yeah, you gotta buy AMD because that's the one that's good for gaming." Like whether you consider them low information consumers or consumers who are just like, what is my friend saying? I trust my friend, or they don't want to watch. Not everybody, like, I love reading tons of articles every year, but a lot of people just don't. So AMD. So I guess what I'm saying is AMD didn't come out and say they weren't going to release in the fall. It's just a whole bunch of people got hot-headed because, and myself included, because everybody's under a lot of stress with the way the world is working right now, and we want something positive to look forward to in the fall and in the winter.
Yep.
We want to see that golden nugget of awesomeness.
Yeah, so true, Joe.
So we're like, bring on the Ryzen 4000 series, bring on the Ryzen 5000 series for 2021 or 2022. Like, yeah, it's just awesome. Like, just keep pushing it. You cannot, like, you can never have, like, having faster CPUs and having more threads and higher IPC. It can never be enough. Like,
do you think that this delay could actually be due to the human malware that we have right now currently?
I think there might be some. I would see that there might be some delay, but at the same time, I think that if you look at videos of a lot of these facilities where they produce a lot of this technology, a lot of them are already wearing masks based off of the components they're working with. So I think that the culture of those plants are already like a less, they are less likely to spread human malware, as opposed to some other facilities like pork processing or something that are getting bad press because they're getting a lot of infections. So I think that the culture it's a much more clean, or much more it's a high technical field, and so things have to be perfect, otherwise you don't get a product that actually ships. And so people are wearing, if you look at they're wearing like, basically they're wearing, like, it looks like they're wearing medical suits, like the white suits. So I think that there's not much delay. If there was any delay, it'd be more in like shipments, if things are moving slow because of different countries holding things up, or it would be if some of the like the testers or different facilities, right, where they're just, some places they weren't in this environment where they're going to be wearing masks all the time.
Yeah.
Or so there was maybe like a month or two of adjusting, and then I think things are probably pretty close to normal.
Yeah, true. It's the same place, like same thing like when I work. A lot of stuff has been delayed due to this human malware. Deliveries, what else has delays in product releases, and everything. There's a lot of been delays in that part, in that industry. I can't speak for AMD for themselves, but to what I've dealt with, even package deliveries, all that's been delayed.
Yeah, Amazon tells you it might come early, it might come really late. There might be it might take like a few weeks or months to get there, depending on what the product is.
Yeah, especially right now, I'm still waiting on a package that's supposed to be using for this live stream, but it's still not here at this point in time. I'm kind of upset on it. Rest in peace, Gear Tech Gear. I don't know where it's at. Where are you? That's a delay.
Yeah,
So
so yeah, and I want to say it too. The article was talking about it was speculating on whether AMD is going to skip 7 nanometer EUV, which I don't remember what it's called at the moment, but it's a special type of light based design with the CPU of creating it.
interesting.
It's supposed to help with some of the electron leakage that happens when you get a smaller node at this level. So people were speculating whether they're going to skip 7 and go to 5. I would not doubt it because AMD technically has been about like brute forcing it, by like going down to the smaller node, being ahead of their competitors by a smaller node, and getting that working hard to get that uh, energy efficiency, and also with Ryzen really being able to make the chiplet design
Mhm.
work where Intel is still doing the monolithic big dies. So I don't know. I think I would not be shocked if AMD goes down to 5 because um, you you can only do so much at one node. Companies are like, you could do a 14 plus 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 plus, but at some point you got to go down to 10 or 7 and go for that uh, easier target.
Yeah, and I got like you said about the EUV is an extreme ultraviolet light. Is lithography uses as an EUV light of an extreme short wavelength of 13.5 nanometers. It allows exposure of fine circuit patterns with a half pitch below 20 nanometers that cannot be exposed by conventional optical lithography using an ARF skimmer laser.
Yeah.
Very interesting thing that they use that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I just say keep shrinking it and shrinking it. Keep giving us more efficient parts and faster parts. And of course, they say like all these different nodes, they're billions of dollars of investment in research, and people. It's if you have the smallest node, it's going to come at a huge premium. So that's why Intel's been on 14 nanometer plus 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 for so long because it's expensive to go down, and also they were king, so they didn't have to. And Nvidia is now like going to, hopefully down to from 12 to 7 or 10 or something. But yeah, so just a little bit of speculation as to when the next node is going to be, who's going to be the first one to make. I think 5 nanometer, I believe, is going to be for a lot of cell phones first. I'm
That's
not
gonna
sure
be
if they're already out there.
that's gonna be very interesting when we go that small.
Yeah.
And I wonder how small it was in towards the future. I wonder where we're gonna be at in the next 20 years.
Yeah, they actually kind of shocked me when they said they were going down to like I can't remember which manufacturer had was it TMS. Dang, I can't remember the acronym right now. But they said they had plans for 5 and 3, and I was like, oh wow. I was reading articles about saying how hard it is to get to 3, and if Intel, like, they all have their different unfortunately there's not like a standard for that nanometer size. They measure by different dimensions, so Intel's 10 nanometer is actually smaller, or I don't know, is it smaller or is it equivalent to a 7 nanometer by AMD? So
Mhm.
there's like, you're kind of like cutting corners by calling it 7 nanometer when it's really more like a 10? I wish there was more a standard in that. I wish that they didn't like just measure whatever they do, but these are big companies that have their own they have their own benchmarks, they have their own marketing for chip nanometers. It's all marketing, so whichever performs better is basically like the one that matters. So
And don't they say that too that that the smaller it is, the faster everything runs?
Well, yeah, because there's less distance to travel, and it takes less energy to. It's pretty crazy. It takes less energy. Like if you go from DDR3 down to DDR up to DDR4 memory, you could go from like 1.5 volts to 1.2 volts. So it's pretty crazy that you can go faster and require less energy. It's just you just geek out, So, like how efficient can we get? What's the limit where we're like, okay, AMD's already gone to like the chiplet, so we have when is Intel going to go to chiplet? When is uh Nvidia going to go for chiplet for their GPUs?
Yeah,
Because at some point they're like they can't get enough over one die. They need to have many of them glued together.
interesting.
So if we go to the next topic,
And that's gonna be Pro might not eat up all your RAM after adopting this Windows feature.
I haven't. I've used different browsers. I've used like Opera, and I've used Firefox, and a whole bunch of them. I kind of give Chrome a pass, but even though it's awesome that this feature's coming out, I think every browser basically eats up a ton of your RAM. Like I'm guilty. I typically sometimes have 10 tabs open up at a time,
Really?
depending on what I'm. Yeah, sometimes I do have that. Yeah, so I'm a RAM hungry user for
You're not
browser.
you're not as bad as me.
No, I that was conservative. Sometimes I've had way too many, and I have some relatives that I help with their computers to make sure that they have not too many tabs or too many. They might have multiple browsers open at the same time and not have the same tab. So I just think using your computer at all is going to be suck up a lot of RAM. But this feature is pretty cool. When is it coming out? I think it already is going to be updated.
I want to say it.
Oh,
May 2020?
yeah, I think what
was it? May 2020?
Yeah, May 2020. There was an update that was coming out, rolling out to their
Yeah, almost all Windows 10
Chromium
computers
Edge.
in the recent May 2020 update.
Yeah. So it says you can expect with the Edge browser to see a 27% drop in the amount of memory being used, which is pretty huge. And it really has a big impact when you're on your phone. That's where it's most noticeable.
Yeah, definitely.
The apps, I mean, the technology that doesn't have much RAM because it's very small and it's very expensive to get RAM that small. And so, yeah, it's really important on your phone, on your tablets.
Yeah, definitely.
And any way to make use less RAM, I'm all for it. So just keep updating, keep finding ways to reduce the amount of resources the computer has to be used.
Yeah, I've noticed that whenever I open up about 50 tabs, my computer starts slowing down. I don't think that's normal. For me, I don't know. For me, I think 50 tabs, I think that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, like I'm going to say, I think if a browser can't do 60 tabs at once, it's no good. I have to throw it out and I have to go searching for another browser. I draw the line at 60. You're at 50, I'm at 60.
Because I actually did networking and I hit max I did 50. I've actually done 75, 100, but I don't ever hit that high. It's rare. But the highest I've ever had most is just 50. That's my capacity. I'm like, my computers can't support it. But I think I need more RAM.
You know what I think would be a really funny addition to a browser?
What's up?
I think that these browsers should have like a counter that, like in the corner, that shows you, like in the very far left corner, that there's a lot. I have like 6 inches of space on the left of my browser that has nothing there. I would love if they had a number that told me how many tabs I have opened up.
Chrome was about to release the tab merge. It's supposed to be able to merge tabs.
How does that work?
I don't know. They're supposed to,
because I know that you can, like, if you have different what is it? What is that option? You can okay, new window. You can bring windows into each other, merge them together, right? And I have had to do that for a lot of people. Like, like I have, like, my browser can save some tabs, so you combine, if you had like two windows for something, you combine all the tabs from one window into the other window. You have to keep dragging one after another. It's collecting all your tabs, but merging tabs, that sounds interesting.
I just don't know how any of that stuff works, because I know you're supposed to be able to right click it, and it's supposed to be able to, it's supposed to say like merge tab. So if you have like the same things, you can just right click and you're able to select the tab you want to go to or something. Like there was a feature about that. I saw it a week's like three or four podcasts ago. I was going to cover on it, but I was like, nah, I don't need to cover that. But ended up coming back that we ended up talking about tabs.
But don't you think that'd be awesome though, if we had like a counter to be like, oh, I would know how many my relative has open, so I could, like, oh yeah, this is going to be a problem. Like, I have to figure out like how many to get rid of.
Yeah.
Because like when I'm exiting out of those tabs or moving them together from one window to another window to make sure they're all in the same window, right?
Yep.
So they can actually know what they're doing. I don't know how long that job's going to be. And if you're like time strapped, you have like only 2 minutes to help that person before you have to go out the door or do whatever, right? I want to know how many tabs we're dealing with.
Oh, definitely, man.
That is such an idea. We should pitch it to these companies to put that up there.
I would love to see if they'll listen to our idea. Maybe they'll listen to our idea on here on this podcast.
Yeah. Firefox, Chrome, Opera, what else? Who else can we call it there? Edge. If you're listening, put that on there. The first browser that does it, that'll make press, and people, at least for like comical parodies and stuff. I think it's comical to see how many tabs, like a counter. Everyone, 22, 23, just something that helps people recognize that like they need to condense their life a little bit. And yeah. Know what I mean? Well, condense, because get rid of some of those tabs. And I don't know. I just see a lot of function to that. It's like, why not? Why not have that?
Yeah, they have
it probably doesn't like a counter. That's like probably the least amount of like data for like software,
Yeah, they have a ridiculous feature right now. And if you right click a tab and it says mute site.
Interesting. Who has that?
Chrome.
Oh yeah, no, actually I'm looking at mine. It says mute tab and it says mute other tabs. That's very interesting. I gotta play around with some of these things, because it says I'm gonna open up a new one and just play around with this. It says close tab, close other tabs, close tabs to the right. It doesn't have close tabs to the left.
I was about to say that. It's like, what happened to the left? You got right, but not left.
And then it has the closed duplicate tabs. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, like for me, since I have my Mac, and then I have my iMac and my MacBook Pro, like right next to each other, and they're both on right now, it gives me the option to send to your devices. I could right click it, and I just select the Samsung MacBook Pro, and it sends that tab to my other device.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It even gives me an option to my Samsung phone.
That's nice, because it's all on your secure network.
Yeah, it's over secure network, and I have all my accounts synced up. My phone,
that's pretty cool.
My Mac, it's crazy. I guess because I'm linked with my account on there, and it links to all the devices.
I see a very dangerous option I have up there. It says reload all tabs.
What?
Like if you wanna really like use a lot of RAM all at once, have 50 tabs open and click reload all tabs.
I do not have that option.
Oh, this is on Opera, so Oh.
Holy cow, that's a dangerous thing right there to do.
And I don't know. There's so many options like pin tab and move tab to workspace. I don't know. It says workspace too. I have no idea. You're making me think about how many more functions I don't know about these browsers.
You imagine the audience.
Yeah, it's like you can take I use like snipping tool, but it says I can take a snapshot and gosh, yeah. I'll spend like an afternoon someday just going deeper into a tab into the browsers because I thought I knew a lot about it, but I need to know more because it's just I feel kind of bad that I don't know all this.
That's
you
cool,
know?
man. You were always
You know?
learning.
It's like always down the rabbit hole, deeper and deeper.
Yep. Always. Always, bro. And now, moving on to the next topic. If anybody has questions, please comment in the chat, and we'll get to you as soon as we get a chance. Because you got from here, because this is our last topic. So if you have any questions about any of these topics or something that we've covered in the past, you want to know what we discussed, we'll go ahead and kind of discuss it to you at the end of the session. If you want to know a little bit more about it. So the next topic is creating an I'm getting pulled over shortcut on Android using the Google Assistant. So what do you think about that, Joe? I want to hear it from you.
I think it's pretty cool. It's if it's stable. I haven't tested it out. I'm gonna download it pretty soon and test it out. But I think it's nice if it really works because what I have complained about is some of my technology, like my laptop. Uh, it it lets you delay when it goes into what is it called sleeping mode, but for some reason it doesn't let me have that much control. It says 30 minutes and then it sleeps. Well, what if you getting pulled over, you have, like it's like your phone or something. What if it sleeps after like 30 minutes? So if this app can make it so that it will not sleep and it will keep recording until you click stop or something, or like or something that it makes it so it's not easy for you to stop the recording and it doesn't sleep. It prevents your app from your phone from sleeping until your battery is dead, basically, so that it can save that. And then it needs to be able to be smart enough to save your video before your battery dies. Like there's so much goes into this.
Very,
Because
very
you don't
true.
know how long that being pulled over, how long that encounter is going to be.
Man, I've heard they could take anywhere from a couple of minutes to over an hour.
Yeah, I can't imagine. And it could be those last few seconds or minutes of that hour that are important to be recorded for unfortunate circumstances that happen.
Yeah. And
So
but it's a good feature, like don't get me wrong. I just wonder what, like you said, like what are the things like timers? What happens if you get a phone call? Is that gonna stop the recording?
yeah, it's because you're like, and it's interesting ethically because you're like, well, maybe I don't know, like maybe it's just like an overlay, right? It's like, will it'd be like muted. It'll show you that there's a phone call coming in, but it won't make a sound so that it can still pick up whatever audio it's recording that's important for whatever case situation um yeah. So I mean, it's got this. We'll link this article later, but it's got like
the whole instructions on how to set it up.
Yeah, it's got like 30 steps to be able to start your own commands. Like what were some of the commands? Like you say to the app, "I'm getting pulled over," and then it starts to record.
Yeah.
Or it can even have some actions like it will send a text. So you could program it so it will send a text to somebody to tell somebody that you're being pulled over.
Yeah.
And then maybe, if you need like support, if you need someone to come to that site or come to like, let's say, unfortunate circumstance of you have to go, you get, detained and brought somewhere else, then that person will know that you've been detained, and you should go to go find out where that person is.
Yeah.
So that's and there's other ways you could program like a stranger nearby or something, and it could text to your friend that maybe you need like a phone call to, you know what I mean, get out of a sticky situation or something.
And you get two phone call. Like, you only get one phone call when you get locked up, to what I hear. I've never been locked up, so I just hear that you only get one call and that's it. But with this, you'll actually get a second call.
You're gonna call before that happens.
So you get a call before you get booked, and then one after you get booked. So this can kind of save your life a little bit, and also so people won't be worried that, hey, where did he get kidnapped? Did he get killed or what?
Yeah. And in this article, they're talking about the ACLU. There's a mobile justice app where it varies based on state, the different state laws, but it helps you know your rights when you're interacting with law enforcement. And then it also, tells you whether you're legally required to inform the officer that you're recording interaction based on your state law. So that's important.
Yeah.
And then I would say that I've only had to deal. No, I've dealt with police several times, but I like to say as little as possible. That's basically it. Say as little as possible. Be very polite. Pretend that they are your boss, and even when you treat them like your boss, there still be things that they do that you might not like, but you get your. I would say, hopefully, not in all cases, because we know that's not true, but hopefully, if you hold your tongue, you can get justice later on. That maybe this app will help you record some injustice, and then later you fight it in the courts.
My question is,
at public sphere,
my
you don't
question
like
is,
you don't argue if you can help it. You don't argue at that time.
yeah, just show it to the judge, and everything will be better for you at the long run.
Yeah.
It goes easier on you if you just don't argue, don't resist arrest or anything. As long as the cop is not pulling a gun at you straight to your face as soon as you get there, and that's a different story.
Yeah, there is some circumstances where you're like, if it's that bad, you don't know if it's better to try run and get shot in the back or something. You don't know until you're in that circumstance.
Yeah.
Everything runs through your mind,
Yeah.
It's stress.
Especially right now, with this human malware, people are doing crazy things when they get arrested. They don't want to be near the cop, or the cop's not 6 feet, and people are harassing cops for not wearing masks. And
it's who, like, are you above the law to wear a mask? With the mask, it's like they're highly recommending it, and some places mandating it, and then there's just, did you see that case that was on the news last week about that woman who was coughing on somebody in a store?
I think so, and they arrested her, right?
Oh no, I don't know if they arrested her. You found out about that? Because
No,
I didn't know about that.
I don't know nothing about it.
There was something about, like, she didn't say that she had the human malware, but it was just like she overheard them talking because she wasn't wearing a mask. So there's a lot of tension everywhere. People are stressed out, and this app hopefully will reduce some of that tension. Just get familiar with it, play around with it, and hopefully it serves your purpose. It could even help in a lot of different circumstances.
Yeah,
it can help where people are talking about domestic violence, or if they think that nobody will believe them because, I don't know. There's just a lot of different circumstances where recording something with whatever your code word is here, people won't know that it's starting to record, and if you think it's something that is worth recording it without them knowing, and you'll face whatever consequences of recording without permission or whatever, it might sometimes save you.
Yeah, it could say this app could save millions of lives.
Yeah.
You just gave me another great idea, and I don't know what's gonna happen with this idea. I don't know if I'm gonna die with it or what, but it's just a crazy idea he just gave me right now at this moment.
Relate to this app.
Yeah, related to this app, you just gave me a brilliant idea. So I don't know.
Right. Stay safe with that idea.
I hope so.
Say, program a command in there. I need help, and it'll send a text to me. It'll send a text to me, and I'll be like, okay, he's in over his head on this idea.
Oh man.
You'll say, call Joe, and I'm like, yes, I know what it's referring to.
Now you have to make sure you record the call. You're gonna be in charge of the call. Just your call. Your call's gonna be recorded. Hopefully, don't go to voicemail.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. So, well, that was the last topic, guys. Well, is there any comments or anything going on right now that you want to bring up at all?
So we'll let the people in the audience decide if there's a question they want to ask. Otherwise, Renee, I was going to talk about just some local things that happened this week. I mean, not local, but like personal. So like I've been talking about it for several weeks. So my computer, the new one came. So I finally set that up, and when it does, it took a day about like putting everything together. So, but once you finally get that up and you're running, you're like, okay, now I have to install like 10 different drivers for the motherboard. And you want that, like, that payoff. You want to like start doing stuff, like you either want to do gaming or watching videos or something after all that day or less of putting a computer together, So I thought I'd throw that in there because I've been talking about it for several weeks. And so I finally got the PC, and I'll be making some benchmarks about that PC. And if you have any questions about it, it's on my channel that with the different specs, and you can ask me questions about why I chose the components that I chose.
Yeah, his link to his channel will be in the description below.
And Renee, you have some technology that's coming in the next couple of weeks, right?
Correct.
What's the one that's coming that's you're waiting in the mail? Did you talk about that already?
I haven't talked about it. It was mainly the audio interface for my whole mic setup, and then the next gear after that is the cloud lifter. We were talking about, Joe.
Which interface did you go with?
Interface I went with was the Focusrite 2i2 because I usually hook up my guitar to my stuff, so I actually like to jam out online. So now I have a reason to go online to jam out without any kind of too much background noise.
Cool. So that has 2 XLR inputs?
Correct. Yeah, 2 XLRs, but they also have the instrumental. It's XLR plus instrumental.
Okay.
So it's a double. Both of them have you could plug in the guitar directly.
Okay. So one could go for a mic, one could go for your headset, and then one could go for your instrument?
Yeah, or you could say both could be for mics, XLRs, and both could be for instrumental as well.
Oh.
It's universal.
And what did that one cost you?
That one costed me $153, but with taxes came out to like $173 or something like that.
Did you who did you do it with? Did you Amazon or somewhere else?
I had to redo Amazon again because they gave me a gift card because the other package got lost and nobody knows where it's at, unfortunately.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's I have the one below you. I have the Focusrite I think it's 212. Oh, I can't remember the name right now. It's just called the Scarlett Solo. So I've got one XLR input and then one 3.5 millimeter input. And I have to say, Guitar Center, you should recommend the one that Renee got, because I really would like I just didn't really think about different expansing, having two inputs, or even like the I can't remember the name right now, but there's with a lot more functionality with like the $400 or $500, being able to adjust a lot of functions, you know.
Yes, yeah, I'm
Like,
sharing. I shared that thing to everybody. This is the Focusrite that we're talking about. So if you haven't really seen a Focusrite, that's the
there you go.
Focusrite. You see how it has a bigger input in the center? That's for the I think the 3.5 jack, or the quarter inch jack.
Yeah.
So that gives me the option to hook up my XLR mic and also my guitar input into that jack.
Hey, let me ask you this. Just last thing before we go here. So the 48 volt phantom power, right? That's the left button. Have you read anything about like the air button? What the air button does?
The air button.
Yeah, there's the. Right now, I have the phantom power working and the air button pressed in. So I think it does something, but I haven't really recently looked into what that does.
I don't know. I think the air is it's just your regular talking.
Okay.
And
Yeah. So yeah.
and instrument, and INST stands for instrument, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I have that. I think somewhere. I can't see, it's too far away, but yeah, if you guys know what's the awesome part about using air, leave in the comments below. And thanks for educating us, So we'll be googling it too, but first person to comment it, props to you.
I would offer a prize, but I don't have a prize right now.
I'll say you're awesome for being a audio junkie.
Okay, so well, I guess this is gonna wrap it all up, guys. So there's been no questions in the chats. So we'll see you guys next time. So make sure you subscribe to our channel and Joe's channel, Tech We Love. His channel will be in the description below. So
Yep. And then last plug is our giveaway is going on right now, so you can enter that. This month is $10 to one person, and then next month in July is going to be 15. So that'll be in the description below, and you can subscribe to our channel. It's just a little bit of a member appreciation.
So peace out, guys. We'll see you on next weekend's podcast. It'll be on Joe's channel.
Yep. Stay cool, guys.
See ya.